Dear friends, this is lesson number 5 in the series of Indian writing in English. And today in this lesson we shall discuss Mulk Raj Anand. He is born in the year 1905 and died 2004. If someone asks you about who the people are among the trio of Indian English literature, then we have three prominent figures. First Mulk Raj Anand, then Raja Rao, and then R.K. Narayan. Pretty soon we shall also talk about Raja Rao and R.K. Narayan. But for the moment we shall discuss Mulk Raj Anand. You can consider him as the first prominent writer in English literature from India. So he is also termed as Dickens of the East. East means India is in the eastern part of the globe, and Dickens, Charles Dickens, a Victorian writer. So Charles Dickens is famous for his writing that is related to the poor people, the sufferings of the poor people. The work like David Copperfield, Hard Times, Tale of the Two Cities, he has talked about the common people, not the elite, the same way we see Mulk Raj Anand. He has also talked about the downtrodden people. So he is also influenced by the writing or the works of Charles Dickens and also by the works of Karl Marx. Karl Marx is a prominent name that is associated with communism and socialism. So if you have ever gone through that sort of literature, you can easily find his name there. Anyway, he married Kathleen Gelder, okay, you may call it a Gelder or Gelder, whatever, an actress she was, and later they got divorced as well. Anyway, this is about his just introduction, and now we shall take up his important works. There are a number of works, so I have just selected a few of them because there have been several questions from his works. We will not go deep into the details of those works, but we will have the, you can say, surface knowledge, especially about the main character and also about the, you can say, plot line of that work. So the first one we have, that is Untouchable. Untouchable. This work was published in the year 1935. Remember, there was once a question related to this. So 1935 is the date of publication. Now, who is the main character? There is a young sweeper named Baka. That is the main character. And now, Mulk Raj Anand, he was inspired to write this work by his aunt's experience. He had an aunt, and that aunt had a very tough experience. She suffered a lot. She was once outcast for having taken meal with a Muslim woman. So you can see that he has taken inspiration from the personal experience of his aunt to write this work that is untouchable. His aunt had, you can say, taken meal with a Muslim woman, but here he is talking about the uh, indifference, or you can say discrimination, that is made to the people on the basis of their caste. And in the novel we see Baka, he is untouchable by caste, and he was humiliated for being of a low caste and beaten even as well. And he once touched a Hindu, and that is why he was maltreated, abused, beaten. Even his sister was molested by a temple priest. His sister was maltreated or molested, you can understand, by a priest. And in this novel, you can see the maltreatment of the low caste people, so called, I would say, so called low caste people, is shown. And in this novel, there is one character, that is Colonel, or you can say Colonel, I would say Colonel Hutchinson. Colonel Hutchinson. He says that Christianity is the ultimate solution. If there is any sort of a discrimination on the basis of the caste in India, then this person, Colonel Hutchinson, he says that Christianity can provide the ultimate solution because in Christianity there is no caste difference or there is no discrimination on the basis of caste. And then Gandhiji, Mahatma Gandhiji, he talks about the social reforms for the equality because in society there is no equality, so he is talking about social reform. And in the previous video I also told you that Gandhiji gave the word Harijan. Gandhiji gave the word Harijan to the untouchable people. And one more thing we can add that the central character Baka, he is so much impressed by the speeches of Mahatma Gandhi because in this novel we see Mahatma Gandhi's reference or even as a character. Okay, not too much part he had played, but somewhat we see there. And then we have one more prominent writer. The name is E.M. Forster. E.M. Forster. And he has written a novel, and the name of that novel is A Passage to India. A Passage to India. Anyway, but in this novel, E.M. Forster wrote the introduction, and in the beginning of this novel, he has mentioned so many things about the discrimination and untouchability that we see in India. And further, after the introduction that is given by, remember this point, E.M. Forster has given the introduction of this novel. And Gandhiji, he appears almost towards the end of the novel. And there he gave a speech on sanitization and the, you can say, the social reform and also about the personal cleanliness. And one more thing we can add that this novel has the two important themes. The first is of the caste-based system and the second is of the sanitization. For writing this work now, Mulk Raj Anand, he received so much encouragement and appreciation from E.M. Forster. So if you get a chance, you can read the summary of this novel from any internet source like Wikipedia or so. But remember the main character is Baka. Now, the next work we have that is Coolie. Coolie. And it was published in the year 1936. Even when I was doing my post-graduation at that time in the university syllabus, I found this work and I read that. So this is also similar to the story of Baka. But here the discrimination is not based on the caste, but here the writer has shown the poverty. How a young boy, a little boy of just age 14, the name of the boy is Munnu. He is a porter sort of person like a rickshaw puller or so. So Coolie we have the name, same sort of the person who is there to pull the things or to carry the luggage of the people. So that sort of person he was, and he has suffered a lot because of being poor, and he worked in factories as well. He also worked as a rickshaw puller. He moved from Bombay to Shimla, and everywhere he was exploited, be it a man or woman, chahe aadmi hai ya aurat, everyone just took advantage of him and exploited him to great extent. And even in this novel we have uh, his origin, okay, from the Kangra hills. This boy Munnu, he hails from Kangra hills, and in the end Munnu dies of TB, tuberculosis. So you can also read this because when you read Coolie, you can easily find that what sort of a, you can say, the theme Mulk Raj Anand is carrying in his works. He is just simply speaking the volume of the sufferings of the poor. The next work we have, that is Two Leaves and a Bud, and it was published in the year 1937. Okay, and one more thing I would tell you about this, that okay, that is a different thing, that is about the trilogy. Okay, we shall discuss about the village pretty soon, but first, Two Leaves and a Bud. It is based on the life of a poor peasant. The name is Gangu, and the name of his wife is Sajani, and his daughter Leela, and a son Buddhu. So again, the poor people he is portraying in his work. And the location now in this work, also I would suggest you that when you make notes, you not just write the name of the characters, but also you should write the locations. As in case of Coolie, I told you that we move from Bombay, Shimla, Kangra Hills, everywhere. Here we have the location of the state Assam in the tea plantation farms, you can call them, or gardens. And in that location we have Gangu. And in this work we see Gangu tries to protect his daughter from British soldier. This is one major event or the point in the story. And the theme, again, if someone asks you, then the same thing, that is the pathetic or life of the poor workers, their sufferings. And in this work, Gangu had conflict with white men, अंग्रेजों के साथ. In the earlier works, there was nothing much about the English people or the Englishmen, but in this work, Gangu had conflict with the white people. So, the next work now, after this, we have The Village. It was published in the year 1939. Now we have three works, and these three works are the part of a trilogy. Trilogy means the collection of three works which are somewhere interconnected or have some links to each other. Now, the first work is The Village, the second is Across the Black Water, and the third one is The Sword and the Sickle. So, first, The Village. In this work, we have the central character Lal Singh. He is a peasant from Punjab, and he also goes against the social norms. He breaks some social rules and he ends up, or you can say he enroll himself first in the army. So remember, during that time, the army belonged to the British people. The Britishers had the control over the army. So he enrolled himself in the army, and later he faces so many problems as he work in the army, and later he comes back to his village. So we have the life of Mr. Lal Singh. I am not going deep into the story. I am not just telling you Lal Singh, but further I am adding a few words to this name as well, because if simply I say The Village and the central character Lal Singh, it will not help you. Now somewhat you know about Lal Singh, a peasant, then somewhere it will stuck in your mind. I think it will help you. So that is why I am just mentioning a few more words about the central character. Then we have Across the Black Water. Remember these names because these works were also asked in the UGC net questions, which we shall discuss in the end of this lesson. Now, Across the Black Water. It was published in the year 1939, and this work is set in the background of the World War First. So World War First, that was in the year 1914 to 1919, somewhere around that. So now, Lalu is an Indian sepoy in Indian Army. Indian Army here refers to the British Army because during that time it was all British Army. And now, what is the meaning of the word sepoy? Sepoy actually refers to the soldier. the soldier, but especially an Indian soldier. So Lalu was an Indian soldier and he was termed as Indian Sepoy. And he was fighting against France in Germany. And he does not understand what the war was all about. He was simply doing a job, like sort of thing. And he was earlier an innocent peasant. And his land was also taken away from him. So Lalu associate this name to a, you can say, soldier or an Indian sepoy. Lal Singh was a peasant, simply he also enrolled himself in the army. So similar sort of thing you see in both these characters. And then we have the third work of the trilogy, that is The Sword and the Sickle. This work was published in the year 1942, and the most important fact about this work is that the title the title is given by George Orwell. Remember this name, George Orwell, a British writer, and his famous work 1984. You can find the detailed analysis of that work which I have done on this channel because I really like that work. Anyway, George Orwell is the writer of this, not a writer, I should say, the person who provided the title to this work. This novel deals with the issues of communism or social and political structure, how things go socially and politically. So that is about the sword and the sickle. Yes, and next we have Big Heart. The next important work, Big Heart. It was published in the year 1945. And this work follows the stream of consciousness. Stream of consciousness, if you have done your post graduation, you must have heard this narrative style of writing, stream of consciousness, where the person is just lost in his thinking, recalling the past events, that sort of thing. So, in this work now, we have a protagonist, the main character, that is Ananta, or Anant you may call it. And one more thing, that in this work we see a conflict between the capitalist and the coppersmith. Coppersmith, a labor sort of person, and capitalist is a, you can say, the big businessman. Ananta, this character, he is from Amritsar, town Amritsar. So the setting of the story is in Amritsar. And there, what he sees that the workers in the factories, the workers are protesting against the use of machinery, the new technology machineries, not of this time, but of the 1940s. Even during that time, the machines were, you can say, advanced. Not that sort of advanced, but at least the machines were that much sufficient that they could replace a human being. So this was the conflict, that the poor people, they were against the use of these machines because these machines will replace them. The people or the working people will be replaced, they will lose their job. So that is why there was a conflict or the protest. And there were some more issues like the tough and the poor conditions of the working class, and the less wages they get, and even the capitalist or the big businessmen, they hoard the money. So all in all, we see the sufferings of the poor people. Okay, there is one quote that this is the machine age, sons. We are the men who will master it. This is the machine age, sons. We are the men who will master it. This is the quote from this work. Okay, one more line I would like to add, that this novel is just about the 24 hours of the actions. not very long, even in the, you can say, the time span that is shown in the novel. So that is just about 24 hours. And it also involves the Gandhi's follower. There are the people who follows Gandhi, and they were also against it. You remember when we talked about Mahatma Gandhi, I told you that he was against the Videshi, or he was following the Swadeshi things. So the machines, they represent the Videshi, or something that is imported from the other country, that is not Swadeshi. So the Gandhi follower, they were also against the, you can say, the machines, because they also thought that the it will increase the unemployment among the people. On the other hand, Ananta, the central character, he favored machines. He was in the favor of machines, and he also wanted that there should be proper wages to the workers. They should have some right over the machines as well. This is a point. The workers should be given a right over the machines. So now these are the important works written by him. Then we have a collection of autobiographies. Autobiographies written by Mulk Raj Anand. So remember, important point. He wrote with the character Krishan Chandra. So Krishan Chandra represent Mulk Raj Anand. Once I think it was a question as well. Now, in this collection of the autobiographies, he wanted to write 7 books. Mulk Raj Anand, he wanted to write 7 books, 7 ages, as we see 7 ages of man, the 7 different cycle, or not cycle, but the period of man's life. But he could write only 4, and these 4 are: the first one, 7 Summers, published, or you can say in the year 1951 or so. And in this book, the writer talks about the first 7 years of his life. 7 Summers, here he talks about the first 7 years of his life. The next one is Morning Phase. It was published in the year 1968, and for this work he won the Sahitya Academy Award. And here he talked about the period from the 7th, or the year 7th, to the, you can say, the age of adolescence. Adolescence is the age of 17, 18, or 19. So from the age to 7 to 18, 19, he wrote in this book, Morning Phase. The third one is the Confessions of a Lover. So by the lover, even you can understand that now he is getting into the age after 19 or 20. So he's turning into a man. And in this book, he talks about the nationalist movement, the patriotic feelings, and also the feelings of a lover, his affair as well. So, Confessions of a Lover. And the fourth one, the last one, the last part of this uh, collection, we have Bubble. Bubble. Here he talks about his stay in England, and there he prepared for his thesis. So he was doing some research work. So his life in England, that is mentioned in the work Bubble. So remember this one simple fact, that Krishan Chandra, somewhere you find this name Krishan. Krishan is somewhere you will find written with C, Krishan Chandra. So that represented the writer Mulk Raj Anand himself. Okay, one more interesting thing, I tell you that Kanpur, as we have this city Kanpur, Kanpur, but during the British period it was written as Cawn, Kanpur, like this. So I don't know whether there is any logic behind it, but earlier it was written as Kanpur with C, but now we have with K. Anyways, apart from these works, we have a few more things to talk about as well. So the next we have, that is the private life of an Indian prince. It was published in the year 1953. It is not a pure autobiography, but it is semi-autobiographical work, and it deals with the abolition of the princely state system in India, private life of Indian prince, the princely states. Do you remember that when India got freedom in the year 1947, there were more than 500 princely states, means small states where some, you can say, prince, they were ruling. That time Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel make, or I should say, bring them all together under one flag of the Indian nation. So about that incident or that movement the writer is talking about. And one more thing, if we see, the hero goes through the mental breakdown, the central character of this semi-autobiography, he goes through a mental breakdown, he got upset, and even in the real life, Mulk Raj Anand, he suffered a lot from the mental problems or mental issues. So, while writing this work as well, it is said that when he was writing this work, he suffered from that sort of problems. And the last work we have for discussion, for short discussion, that is Old Woman and the Cow. Okay, it's a long, tiring lesson, 26 minutes. We have some questions as well. Anyway, thanks for being here. So, Old Woman and the Cow, it was published in the year 1960. This is the only novel where here we see uh, the central character or the main protagonist is a female character. So, the name of that leading character is Gauri. So here we can say Mulk Raj Anand is giving a tribute to the Indian women, and this character Gauri is based somewhere on the Indian myths as well. Okay, so that's all we have for his works. So now let's take up some questions from the previous year papers. The first question now: the Indian English novelist who for the first time addressed the question of language and indigenous experience was. Okay, there was no reference to this point in all of these things which I have told you, but for the sake of this question you have to remember that the first Indian English novelist who addressed the issue of the language and indigenous experience? The answer is Mulk Raj Anand. Okay, the next one. Okay, remember one thing that the question of language and this word indigenous or indigenous, okay, however you may call it, indigenous, it is related to the nativeness, or if someone is local or belong to this country, then this word is termed here. For native people, we use this word. Okay, so this is about the language and being native. Next, there were two questions. Okay, it wasn't a direct question. Actually, there were four options, four writers and four different works. So we have to match them. So the one correct match was that Mulk Raj Anand with the work that is Coolie. So four writers were there, four works were there, and we had to match that. Another question was there as well, that is Coolie. The work had to be matched with the prominent character or the main character of that work. So in Coolie we have the central character, that is Munnu. So Coolie had to be matched with Munnu. In these sort of questions where we have four writers and four either the works or the characters, in such questions most probably you will find that if you know at least one match, then almost you are done with the question. I think you can get the right answer. If you know at least one match, if you know other writers, you do not know their work, but if you know that Coolie is okay, Mulk Raj Anand is to be matched with Coolie, then most probably you will get it right, because the options are almost set in this way that if person is knowing one option, then he can answer. Next, there was one more question, that the sword and the sickle. We have to match this work, and again I am saying this work is written by Mulk Raj Anand. Now, there is a question. Now you can answer this, I think, on the basis of the things I have told you. After the independence, Mulk Raj Anand wrote a number of semi-autobiographical works to narrate chunks of his life. Chunks means the pieces of his life, some portions or some span of time of his own life through a fictional persona. Persona stand for the character. The name he gave this persona is, so it is not Lal Singh, it is Krishan Chandra. No Puran Singh, no Rahul Singh. Okay, so Krishan Chandra is that character of his semi autobiography. Okay, next we have, from among the following identify the two Indian English authors who received appreciation and encouragement from their British counterparts. Now, British counterpart means when they were writing that time, there was another British writer was also writing. So counterpart stand for rival person, maybe sometimes. Now, in this question as well, I think if you know two at least, like R.K. Narayan and his counterpart Graham Greene, and this one, of course, we have discussed Mulk Raj Anand and E.M. Foster. So, Mulk Raj Anand and E.M. Foster, we know, so option 3 has to be correct. So now, the options we have for having the third one right, option 3 and option 4. So, we will go for option 3. Here, R.K. Narayan is having his counterpart Graham Greene, means Graham Greene, the writer, he was contemporary of R.K. Narayan, and he appreciated the works is written by R.K. Narayan. The same way E.M. Foster did the same for Mulk Raj Anand. So option 3 is correct, where we have the first one is right with, sorry, the first one and the third one both are correct. Now, this question. This is about the uh, correct chronological order of these works, of these writers, I should say, according to their birth, the birth of these writers. So we remember, okay, don't go back, just tell me or just think in your mind, Mulk Raj Anand, when he was born, the year, yes, 1905. Okay, so we have to arrange them in particular order of their birth. The first one, the option Manohar Malgaonkar, Mulk Raj Anand, Toru Dutt, and then Khushwant Singh, and then Michael Madhusudan Dutt. So now, in these 5 writers or the poets, we have to arrange them in that order. Manohar Malgaonkar. One thing I say that always have some cross references. We talked about this person or this writer in the last lecture, I think, when we talked about Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. He wrote 2 works, that is The Bend in Ganges and the other one is Distant Drum. And now he is born in the year 1913. And Mulk Raj Anand, of course, we know 1905. Toru Dutt. Toru Dutt, actually, she is a poetess, and she hails from Bengal, and she has written in English as well as in French. Poetry prominently she wrote, and the year she was born is 1856. Khushwant Singh, and he is born in the year 1915, and the last, Michael Madhusudan Dutt. or Datta. He was also a poet from Bengal, 1824. So now on the basis of these, you can say the timeline or their birth date, you can arrange them like it has to be E, then C, then B, then A, and then D. So remember, Torudutt and Michael Madhusudan, they are from the 19th century, and the other three, they are from the 20th century. Okay, so next question now. Which of the following are the leading characters in the novels written by Mulk Raj Anand? Okay, so which are those characters? Munnu, Bakha, Sampat, Gangu, Dopadi. So three names we discussed. Munnu is in Coolie, Bakha is in Untouchable, and the third character Gangu, he is from Two Leaves and a Bud. So these three characters, so the right option is A, B and D. So the fourth is correct answer. The next question. Which of the following fictional work form a trilogy by Mulk Raj Anand? I already told you there is a trilogy by him, that is Across the Black Water, The Sword and the Sickle, and the third one is A Village, or sorry, Village. So we have the right options A, C and D. So this is the answer to this question. So the correct option is option A, C, D. So the option is second. Next, who among the following Indian writer in English has created an identifiable imagined locale? Okay, the answer of this question is not Mulk Raj Anand, but I took this question because Mulk Raj Anand was in option. And the answer for this question is pretty simple. Have you ever heard the name Malgudi Days? Malgudi Days. So it is written by R.K. Narayan. The imaginary locale is created by R.K. Narayan. That is Malgudi. Okay. Even on Doordarshan there used to be a program on that. Next question. We have to match these characters. In fact, not the characters but the writers with their work. So now, here in this question, as earlier I mentioned that at least you should know one correct matching. It will possibly solve many of your, you can say, it will give you at least one or two options to concentrate. Otherwise, I think it will be difficult because four options or the four writers, if you don't know any, it will be difficult. Mulk Raj Anand, we can match him with Coolie. So the first has to be matched with the third. Any other you know? Because we haven't discussed, but still if you have any idea. You have heard this name, Girish Karnad, the famous writer who has died I think 2 or 3 years before, Girish Karnad. You can find this man in the movie Tiger. Tigers in the, I think in that movie, this man is there to play the role. Yes, Girish Karnad. You can go to Google and find this man. His famous work is there, that is Nag Mandala. So we have two options now. We have two options matched. Mulk Raj Anand Kuli and Girish Karnad has written Nag Mandala. Now Raja Rao has written this famous work, that is The Cat and Shakespeare. So now the last one, Premchand, is to be matched with Premashram. Premashram. Okay, so this is the answer. Okay, I don't have written here the given options like one to match with other, second or third, like that. So anyway, these are the questions from the works of Mulk Raj Anand. So remember the important works which I have told you, and also go through the questions once or twice again. Okay, now you have done one or two time again, you should do, because revising the questions help you a lot. So it's a long lesson, so thanks a lot for watching this lesson and have a very nice day.